Hello and welcome to our brand new Dainty Affairs bakery studio and of course my kitchen where I'll be baking up a store. Thank you so much for following me on this journey. It's been overwhelming. Thank you for the love. Thank you for all the calls, the prayers. Believe me, I've read every single one of them and I'm very thankful. I'd also like to take a moment to remember someone very special, the dear Peju Ugboma. If you remember one of the videos we did, we're putting together the Mrs. U banana bread loaf. And if you tried it, you know that that recipe there was a hit. We miss her contribution to the cake industry in Nigeria, her love for finely baked cakes, and of course a beautiful friendship of someone who understood what it was to be a good friend. So, welcome and let's get baking. And these are the ingredients we'll be using for the amazing banana bread loaf. 220 grams of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda and half a teaspoon of salt, 130 grams of melted butter, 2 whole eggs, half a cup of yogurt, really good quality vanilla extract, overripe bananas, overripe. I have mixed milk chocolate and dark chocolate, half a cup of white sugar and brown sugar. And of course, we will need a loaf pan. What's a banana bread loaf without your loaf pan? And in this case, I'll be using cupcake liners because I want it to be fast. Get it into the oven, bring it out in less than 15 minutes. So let's go. So in baking, we want to make sure that we kind of do something very, very quickly to kind of separate your wet ingredients from your dry ingredients. So what are the wet ingredients here? The wet ingredients are the yogurt, the eggs, the melted butter, vanilla extract, that is. Your wet ingredients has to be your sugar as well. And the other ingredients I've just measured together, and we will give it a go for a few minutes until it becomes well incorporated. Then we begin to add the dry ingredients together. So that's the sugar there, the combination of the brown sugar and the white sugar. So once I've done that, it's now time to add on the eggs. I'll be adding to that the melted butter, the vanilla extract. I love me some fantastic vanilla extract. You know, the smell of this is incredible, and just adding that into an already rich recipe like a banana bread loaf just adds to the entire experience of a well-baked cake. And so I'm going to eyeball it, but if you don't want to eyeball it, this is going to about a teaspoon or jar of vanilla extract. So once we've gotten that out of the way, you will notice that I haven't put the yogurt yet. This is because I need that yogurt once I'm beginning to add in the dry ingredients. So when we get to that, I will show you what that looks like. But for now, we will get on to some mixing action. And guys, feel free to use your bubble whisk, okay? But in this case, I love the soft life, so I'm just going to hang on to my hand mixer. So you want to do this on low speed, by the way, so you don't have everything splatter all over your face or on your counter. So I'm going in circular motions. Okay. I'm not looking for anything fluffy. I'm just looking for a well incorporated batter. All right, now that I've mixed everything and it's come together, I'm just going to make it go a little faster, because now I can control things. It's going from that dark amber color to a more warm brown tone color. Fantastic. Okay, so you can see it's looking a lot more brighter. It's not as dark as it was before. I want to get onto the bananas, okay? It is so important that you use almost rotten bananas because they've had time to get all the sweetness that is required for baking. Please do not use bananas that are not well ripened, okay? It's going to be very doughy and it's not going to get that delicious, effects that we want at the end of the day. Take one of the bowls I've used before. Put this aside. I have some bananas that have been already mashed, okay? These are like 3 bananas that have been mashed already. But I'm gonna add 2 more, all right? Why? Because I'm extra like that. Anyway, the bananas we used were quite small, so I wanted to actually peel the remaining in front of you, okay? And we should be done with this. So what will I do with the rest? Of course, I'm going to unpeel them. Like I mentioned earlier, put them in a Ziploc bag and put it right in the freezer until we need to bake another banana bread loaf. And then the easiest thing to do is to use your fork to mash this, or just use your as well, all right? To just mix things up so that it quickly loosens it up for you. Okay. How quick was that? And how smart was that? So the wet ingredients have been mixed already. I'm now going to take the dry ingredients, which is the all-purpose flour, and to that I will add the baking soda and the salt. The question now is, why do you need to add salt into your baking goods? Now, it's important you use unsalted butter. If you've ever used salted butter to bake, you would realize that the recipe or the outcome of the baked goods becomes a bit too salty. So it's always important that as a baker, when you want to bake, make sure you use unsalted butter and add on the salt that is required. And don't skip that salt, guys. The salt is for a purpose. It helps to balance the taste. You know what happens when you put salt in your stews? That's what salt does to baking. It kind of masks the sweetness, and of course it balances things out. So don't ever take out your salt from your recipes. So I'm going to give that a toss just to incorporate, and this flour has been sifted already. So you want to make sure that your flour is properly sifted. All right. Now to the moment of truth, we begin to add all that we have prepared into this batter. So I've now gone into my bubble whisk, okay? And you can see this batter right here. Because you need a lot of hand motion, you need that strength right here, all right? To kind of teach this batter a lesson. Can you see that I haven't done this with the flour inside? Once you add the flour, it's about folding it. If you overdo things, your cake is going to be like bread. Don't say you learnt it here, okay? So I can do all of this when the flour isn't in here. So we mix, and look at that. My sugar isn't sounding at the bottom of my bowl again. So we know we are home free. I'm not going to be getting any crackle effect when I'm eating my cupcake. All right? Look at that beautiful ribbon right there. You have to give this recipe a try. So next I'm going to switch from using the bubble whisk to my spatula, because right now I want to begin to fold in the flour. So I'm going to put in the flour in threes, okay? So that's the first addition. And then I'm going to fold. Such a beautiful looking batter already. I'm not in a hurry, guys. Just patiently folding this in. If you're going to use your hand mixer, you don't want to be rough. Just stay on the slowest speed. All right? And now that the very first batch of flour has gone in and it's been well incorporated, then I add the next set. Remember I said we're adding it in threes. And then you do the same thing again, which is to fold in your flour into your batter. And the smell of this place, guys, so beautiful. You also want to make sure you're folding in one direction, okay? When you're folding in, you're incorporating air, and that air is required even at the baking when it's in the oven. It helps with the overall rising of the cake. All right, so this is done. We're gonna add the very last set of flour, and again, mix in like so. I'm going to begin to get ready to add in the yogurt. All right. I'm sure some of you want to try it right when you're thinking, but I don't have Greek yogurt in my fridge. That's fine. If you have Greek yogurt in your fridge, use it, but make sure it has come to room temperature before you use it. And then I'm going to incorporate this. So we have 2 more ingredients left, right? The bananas, the mashed bananas, and the chocolates. Now, I haven't thoroughly combined the yogurt into this batter. That's because I want to add the mashed banana now. Again, because I don't want to end up over mixing. Okay, that's very critical. You're folding around your bowl, cutting to the center, all right? Folding around your bowl, cutting to the center. Scrape around your bowl, cut through to the center. Now, after doing that for what? About 5 times or so, you should be done. All right? And then finally, we're gonna add the chocolate. And I like to leave some chocolate down so that I can kind of toss them on top of the batter when it's in the pans. Okay, so I'm just mixing that. Nothing fancy, just to incorporate it. Okay, now it's time to portion. Because I want them to look relatively even, I'm going to be using my ice cream scoop. Okay, what this does is it just makes sure that to a large extent they are all the same in the case. Okay, and this recipe rises very well, so I'm not going to be filling it all the way to the top because I don't want it to just come all over the surface of the pan. We're done with portioning here, and like I mentioned, I'm just going to toss on the very top. And because I'm using dark chocolate and milk chocolate, I want to make sure I have them on the top. I feel this one needs a little more batter. What we do in our bakery, to be honest, the reason why a lot of our cakes are very uniform is we use a scale. So if this was inside the bakery where we actually make our cakes, there will actually be a scale, and then we're measuring to make sure that we have the exact portion and they all look the same. All right, and by the way, my oven has been on. All right, it's important your batter goes into a hot oven, and because we're baking this as cupcakes, we've put up the temperature to 170 degrees Celsius, and it's going to bake for about 15 minutes. If you were baking this as a loaf, putting it in a loaf situation or a loaf pan, you will want to make your heat 150 degrees Celsius and bake for about 30 minutes. But this just stays a little while, which is why we are choosing to bake it as cupcakes. So it's time for the oven, guys. Let's go. And then I'm going to just put my timer and start this. Looks absolutely delicious. So what I want to do now is, carefully now, I want to just bring it out of the liners. And you would notice that once it was that 15 minutes, I just brought it out of the oven because it's a recipe we've done over and over again. But if you are in any doubt and you want to check for doneness, you can put your toothpick right in the center or do something called the doneness test, which is to tap. Once you tap and your cake bounces back up, then it is well baked. All right? Nobody wants to eat raw cake batter. So this recipe does about 1.5 dozens of cupcakes. It is fantastic to eat right away. Just put a scoop of very, very chilled ice cream beside it and get going, or custard, all right? Or you could just wait for this to cool down to room temperature. Eat as you like. This stays well in the fridge for up to a couple of days, as if you're not tempted to eat them. It's time to taste our banana bread cupcake. All right, so let's see what it is like on the inside. And I always ask, what's the best way to open your cupcake liner? There's no best way, honestly. Just do what you have to do. I like to stop somewhere in the center like this and then cut it up like, ooh, look at that, guys. Look at that gorgeous melted chocolate right inside. It's still a bit warm to the touch. And then this goes straight into my mouth. Lovely, absolutely. Going from the dark chocolate to the milk chocolate to the banana to the vanilla we've added into the mix to a well-balanced, fluffy batter. Guys, this is the real deal. If you would love to order this cake, guys, we have a website. Run to our website now, www.daintyafairs.com/bakery. If you'd love to bake this by yourself, by all means, check out the recipe list we have put on this video and make sure you do the needful. All right? Thank you, thank you, thank you. See you next time and happy caking.